Melbourne in 1849 consisted of a boathouse, a pub, a barracks, a church, and a Parliament House. The boathouse consists of a pier which is later replaced by Station Pier, which is now in Port Melbourne. The pub was the only form of entertainment in Melbourne. People spent nights on end laughing and drinking until they couldn't stand upright. Alcohol consisted of port and rum. The barracks included an archery and musket training range. There were also watchtowers and the main pavilion, where people could watch over others train. It also acted as a storage room, where muskets, shot, powder, bows and arrows were stored. This is an example of a day's training. Redcoats, as the British soldiers were known by their enemies, were highly skilled at both archery and musket shot, and were some of the finest soldiers in Europe at the time. The church, or as Stuart calls it, the Church of Pointlessness. The church was a simple wooden structure, as they didn't have the money to build anything grand back then. Other than the pub, the church was the only real social gathering point in Melbourne. People would spend their Sunday mornings unlike any other, praying, singing, and listening to sections of the Bible, very much similar to the church services today. And finally, Parliament House. This wooden building was later rebuilt into the stone building we now know as the Parliament House in Melbourne. This was the common room, or the waiting room, where members of the public could wait for a minister if they wanted to speak with them. These are the ministers' and the governor's office spaces. Upstairs is where all the accountants worked, before a bank was later introduced. And finally, the meeting room. This room played host to many important parliamentary decisions, including the decision to make miners pay a licence, which eventually resulted in the events of the Eureka Stockade. Crime was a major problem in Melbourne at the time.
A good day, sir.
That man could have just as easily been pickpocketed during that hello. Disease and sickness is also a major problem, as demonstrated by Stuart releasing his previous meal onto the ground. As a result of sickness, many died.
Don't do it! No!
Many took the easy way out of all of this. Well, that, my friends, is the city of Melbourne in 1849. The church will later be renamed St Paul's Cathedral. The barracks was demolished and is now roughly the location of Flinders Street Station. Parliament House is also demolished and moved to its current location. Poverty Point, January 1851, almost a month before Edward Hargreaves found gold in Australia. Two men named John Dunlop and James Regan travelled along the main road in between two country towns in Victoria. There had been prior rumours of gold in the area. There was a river nearby, so they decided to stop and try their luck. They had been carrying pickaxes and panning bowls with them on the journey, in case they found such sights like this. They decided to give panning a go, so they pulled out their bowls and began to sort. Panning was one of the main methods of finding gold in rivers or creeks. It was a moderately quick and reliable method of finding gold during the rush. After only half an hour of hard work, finally, Eureka, John Dunlop had the first sight of gold.
Hey! 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 I found gold! I found gold!
Edward Hargreaves was given the initial credit for finding gold in Australia, until the late 1800s when Dunlop and Regan were finally fully credited with the first discovery of gold in Ballarat. The boathouse consisted of a pier which was later replaced by Station Pier, which is now in Beaumaris. What the fuck?
Oh. Okay,
Where the
it's
hell
in
Beaumaris?
okay, so it's in Port Melbourne. Okay, this is a dock pier, which is later replaced by Station Pier, which is now in Beaumaris. Wait a second.
Where the hell did I pull Beaumaris from?